Hello, this is Clive Priddle, and this is The Current. And today I'm joined by Shea Serrano. Hello, Shea. Thank you for coming.
What up, boss?
So you are you're a man of many enthusiasms, many of which you've managed to draw on for your books. And you've got a book out all about the movies. I wanted just to start off there. Tell us a little bit about why you wanted to write about the movies and what it was that excited you about that.
I really like movies. It's like a thing I spent a lot of my time with growing up on. All of the things that I have chosen to write about for my books, rap, basketball, movies, to this point, were all things that like meant a lot to me growing up. Because I feel like if I'm gonna spend 2 years of my life working on a particular project, number one, it's gonna make it a little more palatable if it's something that I already like. But number two, it just makes writing about it more enjoyable if I have like a little bit of history baked in already. Like I'll give you a perfect example. I was writing today for the new book that I'm working on, which will come out next year, which is about rap music. And I was writing about this video for a song called Make 'Em Say by Master P, which came out when I was in high school. And this was like this was like a very big part of my life, was the like back half of high school. For the first time ever, we got cable at my house. We never had cable before. So we had cable, and I had like a small TV in my room. So in the morning when I was getting ready, you could turn on MTV and they would be playing, whatever videos were popular at the time. And there was a stretch where this video, Make 'Em Say, was extremely popular. So every morning I would turn on MTV. I'll be getting ready for school. The song comes on. I sit there. I watch the video. Again, it's all of the things I like. It's on a TV. It's rap. It's basketball, all at once. And it just was like, it had a special place in my heart. So I knew when I was writing this book, there's going to be a section in there about this particular thing. Even if that was like not a big thing for a lot of people, for me it was. So I'm going to write about it. I'm going to be excited about it. And then hopefully somebody will read it. And if they didn't feel that way about that particular video, they probably felt that way about a video of some sort. So they should be able to read it and then be like, oh, I get it. This was like his version of my thing or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that's usually why I'm trying to just like pick out the stuff that I like. That's how I ended up with the movie book.
What I loved about your movie book was that every chapter is like a friendly argument waiting to happen. You put your point of view out there, and you're kind of teasing the rest of us to come back at you. I went through your list of gangster movies, and I started to say, well, why do we have to start with The Godfather? Why? Surely there must have been a gangster movie before The Godfather. Where was Robert Mitchum in all this? But to your point, it's kind of, these are your guys, aren't they? These are the guys that spoke to you.
Yeah. I'm just trying to celebrate the stuff that I like in ways that I think are interesting. But yeah, hopefully the point of the books is never to be like raining down knowledge from the mountaintop. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the only way to be. It's not that. It's supposed to be like, here's the stuff that I like. Let me tell you why I like it. And we maybe will agree on like a couple of things, but largely we're going to disagree on pretty much all of this stuff. And that's usually how conversations work, or the most interesting forms of conversations anyway.
We're less than, just about a month out from the presidential election. And I wanted to ask you about politics, if I may. How do you think, what's going to happen in Texas? Let's start there. Texas, we're told, is getting closer each time, but each time the Republicans win it again. Is it going to change this time?
I hope it does. It probably won't, but I hope it does. We're trying every trick we can think of to like activate this Democratic voter base here.
I think what you mean is you're doing everything according to the law and absolutely no trickery so that he can call the result into doubt. Yeah.
Right along there. But yeah, I always have my fingers crossed that we're gonna get our shit together, and then we usually don't. But who knows? Maybe this is the year.
And listen, I know you don't want to speak for every Latinx in the country, but
I will.
Okay, good. All right. So,
they told me it was okay.
How's the vote going to go? How do you think that constituency is feeling about the choice they've got in front of them?
We don't feel especially good about either one of them, but we certainly feel worse about Trump. Clearly, he is the like worst option here. Just bad in every single way. Every single bad thing you could think of, is Donald Trump. So we're trying to make sure that all of the Latinos, even my Cuban homies in Florida who are super Republican, we're like, hey, come on over to the other side over here because we gotta. It's just not working. Clearly, it's not working the way that things have gone. It's not working.
I hope they hear you.
I'm trying to tell them every day.
And if Biden gets in, because I think if Trump gets in, you know, we have no idea what's going to happen. But if Biden gets in, you know, he has to pay a little attention to all the groups of people who brought him in, and the Latinx voters is going to be a big group. So what do you think they're going to want from him? How does he show good faith to those voters? Oh, shoot. You probably have like a list of, not necessarily demands, but a list of things we would be looking for. I mean, really, I don't think anything changes. Honestly, I don't think it changes. If he gets in a year from now, maybe we get better by, you know, our lives are 2% better. The Latinos I'm talking about specifically, like all of that stuff is just so baked into the structures in America that it's hard to see it changing. But like, I don't know, here's an easy one. Like if we can just pick a thing, which it should be easy. It should be much easier if you were like on DACA. We should have a path to citizenship. Boom. Like there you go. There's a big one. If you do that, that would be fucking awesome. That would be great. You could screw up the whole rest of the time, but if we got that in place, cool, great. We're feeling wonderful. So if you put Julian Castro in charge of Homeland Security, that would feel better than whatever we've got right now. Yeah, let Julian do whatever he wants. Just put him in there. Can we at least get somebody on Saturday Night Live to play Julian? Like, can we include him in that? At the very least, can we do that, please? How do you feel about the other work that you do? Because you love to write about sports and culture in general. Mm-hmm. How's the media landscape at the moment treating you and other writers like you? Do you feel it's okay? Is it stable? Are you getting space to write about what you want to write about? I'm in a very fortunate position. I work at this website called The Ringer. Yeah. Which is a pop culture website that pretty much they cover all of the things that I'm interested in. So because I work there, I have the platform. That's a word everybody uses. I have the platform to write about the stuff that I like, to celebrate the stuff that I like. I have the ability to do that. I get to collect a paycheck. You know, media is very stratified. You've got different groups. Some groups are not being paid as much as they should. Other ones are. Like it's all broken up like that. I got lucky. I'm in a good spot. I enjoy where I work, but it's always a tricky question to answer because everything is in flux at all times. Probably during this call, 2 more media companies maybe shut down, and then 2 other new ones, like cell phone sort of things, popped up. Like it's always changing, all of those parts of it. But at the moment, I feel good about my own personal situation, I suppose. And your books they're very beautiful. You work with Arturo Torres. Mm-hmm. Worked with him on several projects. I really like the way that you illustrate, that you blend the words and the pictures. How did that collaboration get going? You know, that collaboration got started by procrastination. What happened is I signed a deal to write a book that came out in 2015 called The Rap Yearbook. It was like the first proper book that I'd done. And when you sign a deal to write a book, they give you some money. They gave me $25,000 to write this book. I thought I was fucking rich. This is the richest I'd ever been in my life. $25,000 to write a thing. This was before taxes, before your agent takes out their piece or whatever. But whatever. They gave me the money and they were like, you signed a contract. You have a year to turn in this book. I said, all right, cool. That's no problem. Because before then, when you like are pitching a book, as part of a proposal, you have to write 1 or 2 chapters. So I had already written 2 chapters. And those chapters took me like 2 days to write because I just picked something that I already knew about and I'd done research for, whatever. So they told me I have a year to write the book. And I look and I'm like, okay, well, this thing is going to be 35 chapters. I've already done 2. It took me 2 days. I don't need a fucking year to do that. I can do this in 2 months. Easy. So I just waited. I just didn't do anything. I cashed my check and then I just sat there and did nothing. You're the first writer ever to do that, let me tell you, to sit and cash the check and do nothing. I did nothing for 8 months.
And then at the 8-month mark, my editor at the time, this woman named Samantha, emailed me and she's like, hey, send me all the chapters that you have. We're getting close to the thing. I want to get started. And I was like, oh, you already have all the chapters that I've done. I haven't done anything yet. But don't worry, I got it. And then I sat down to write one of them, and it was the first time that I was writing a chapter that I had not already done the research for. And it didn't take me a day. It took me like 2.5 weeks because I had to read some books and I had to watch some documentaries and I had to like learn how to search stuff in the archives and find old magazines and do all of this. It just kicked my ass. So I very quickly realized I was not going to make the deadline now. And when I signed the deal, I had signed it to not only write, but also to illustrate it myself because I'd done some illustrative work in the past and it wasn't going to happen. And I was like, well, now I need to hire an illustrator so that they can work while I'm working. And I was on the hunt looking for people who are doing things in like cool or interesting ways. I happened across this totally by accident, this flyer for a rap group that I follow out of Dallas, Texas called The Outfit. They were like doing a local show or something. I saw the art and I was like, oh, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Kind of comic booky, but not really comic booky, like some of this weird in-between space that had a lot of texture to it. So I reached out to them. They connected me to their manager. She connected me to the illustrator, this guy named Arturo Torres, who at the time, he didn't really have an internet presence. He was a kid. He's 23 years old, I think. He was working like at an Urban Outfitters maybe or something like that, just sort of doing this on the side. And I finally got him on the phone and talked to him about what I wanted to do. And then that's how it started. I gave him a little bit of money. He drew a bunch of pictures real fast. And then after that, I was like, oh, this is like, number one, I thought it was cool because he was Mexican, and there are very few Mexicans in the journalism space and the book publication space. You just don't find a lot of them. So I was really excited about that. Also, he lives in Texas too. He lives a couple hours away. I was excited about that. All of the pieces just seem to fit. So I just keep on hiring him for stuff, and hopefully he keeps on saying yes.
So, there's been a big debate in publishing, a lot of introspection about how open or not publishing is to the whole community of potential writers and indeed illustrators. A lot of people, I think, hearing that you were paid $25,000 for your first book will say, well, there you go. That's a perfect example. If it had been somebody else, they'd have got much more money than that. Here's this Mexican-American guy and he's working for peanuts. Do you think that's right? I mean, did you feel that you had to struggle to get into publishing, or do you feel you got a break, you got in, and then you made the best of it once you got there? I mean, you tell me, you put your words on the experience.
I got very lucky. Like with that book, for example, that wasn't even my idea for the book. It was the editor, Samantha. It was her idea, things she had wanted to do, and she asked me to, if I had any interest in writing it. But yeah, it is absolutely closed off. It's like very hard you can't live off of that. When I was writing that book, I already had 2 kids. It was me, Laramie, my wife, and 2 sons. It's impossible to survive on $25,000 over 2 years before taxes. Like there's just no way. I was teaching, I was coaching, I was freelance writing other places, and I was doing the book all at the same time. Like that's the task that gets dropped on a lot of us who are trying to make it into that world. It's not that way now, thankfully. Now I have all the space in the that I need. But yeah, it's absolutely like a world that a lot of us don't even know exists. I didn't know. They don't tell you. You grow up on the south side of San Antonio. Neither of your parents have graduated high school. All of your uncles are in and out of wherever they're in and out of. You're supposed to you're coming up at the end of your high school career. Are you going to go do landscaping with your one uncle? Or are you going to go lay tile with your other uncle? Or are you going to go work at the tire shop with your other uncle? Pick one of these. They're not telling you, hey, guess what? You can fucking watch a movie and write about it and we'll pay you some money. They don't tell you that that's like a thing that you can do. So yeah, it's definitely closed off. It's like very far away from a lot of our lives. When I came up, I got my start at the alt weeklies. Houston Press was the big one that we had there, and that was like a place that I went to write. And again, you weren't getting. I wasn't getting paid very much, maybe like $20 a blog post or whatever like that. But they were allowing me to write, and I could take that and like flip it into, oh, let me take these, and now I can pitch Texas Monthly, like you're saying, or whatever. But I think less than that. I think you have to get even smaller than that. Like if you're in a position to help, you can go. I'm just gonna throw some stuff out there, but you can go like on Twitter, and there will be like there's like a hub where it's like here's like a Google Doc or a Google spreadsheet of a bunch of writers of color. Here's one for Black writers. Here's one for Latino writers. Here's one for Asian writers, and we can go through there, and they're all listed out, and they've got like samples of their work. And now you're going to have to sit there and click on the links and read the articles until you find stuff that you like. But if you want to help, then help. You know what I'm saying? That's part of it. That's part of the help. It'd be me like me saying, "Hey, Clive, you need help. Oh, your car's not working. You want me to help?" And then you're like, "Yeah, but I don't want to like drive to your house and get my tools out." You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to tell you that I'm going to help. It's tricky, but it can happen. I started this thing a couple of months ago, 2 months ago. It's like a fake publishing company that I was just going to run myself, and I called it Halfway Books. And this is a play on a song by Mobb Deep. Where there's a very famous line in it called "Shook One." The song's called "Shook One," but in the line is there ain't no such thing as halfway crooks. So this is Halfway Books. It's a play on that. And what I wanted to do, what I did, is I like put a call out in my little my circle of writer friends, and I was like, "Hey, I'm going to hire 5 writers to write. Each one of y'all is going to write 3,000 words about one rap album that you like just love, and we're going to place it in a historical context, and we're going to do some tricks in there to make it like look cool. And we'll basically be presenting it as a digital version of like one chapter of a book, and you can do what you want with it after that. But I just wanted to do it because I wanted to see what it was like to be an editor, or not even an editor, but to be like the person who makes all of the like final decisions, be in charge, whatever. But I did that, and we set it up, and I made sure I picked my 5 writers, and all of them by coincidence ended up not being white. And so now we're like all working on our thing together. And as I'm working on this, my guy from 12 Books, Sean Desmond, who's my editor for movies and other things in the upcoming book, he reached out and he was like, "Hey, I see this thing that you're doing. We should figure out a way to like tie it in with this." And I said, "Yeah, that sounds great. You know, people say this to me all the time." And he's like, "All right, cool. Let me make some calls." And then he hit me back like 2 weeks later, and he had this whole thing set up. Now we're going to do like an official internship straight from Halfway Books into Hachette. We're going to take like a group of I live down the street from a college here in San Antonio. We're going to take a group of Mexican kids who have like never left the city, and we're going to go to New York, and we're going to see what it looks like to walk around in a proper publishing building. Like those sorts of like, that took work on his end. He had to send emails, make phone calls, do whatever. He had to put pieces in place. But that kind of stuff is great, because here I'm ready to do the work on my end. He was ready to do it on his end. And because we were able to link up, now we have like this cool thing that's going to happen.
I would be not forgiven by at least one of my colleagues if I didn't take the opportunity of having you here talking about your new book about the movies, and also, you know, drawing on your sports enthusiasms, to ask you to blend the two. My experience is that movies about sports often are terrible. Do you have any favorite or classic terrible sports movies that you look at?
Do I have favorite sports movies?
Yeah.
Do they have to be terrible, or can they be good?
No, they can be magnificent.
Oh, I've got a ton of sports movies that I greatly enjoy. I think my all-time favorite sports movie is White Men Can't Jump, with Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson. I think it's just really sharp. It's really fun. We were talking about like big moments in your life. That was a big moment in my life for me, was to like see basketball being played in like a space where I had played basketball, which is to say like just at a park amongst your friends. But also, if you grow up in San Antonio, you mentioned the Spurs. The Spurs have like a very buttoned down sort of personality about them. David Robinson was our first real like modern superstar. He was from the Naval Academy. He was like extremely Christian. He never talked trash. He never made any noise about anything. He was like that kind of person. And then we transitioned straight from that into Tim Duncan. But here I'm watching this movie where the whole point of it is like Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson are just sort of talking shit to each other and to everyone else. And it was just like built in this really cool, really, really smart way. That's a movie I care about a lot. If you need like modern ones, Creed is one that came out a couple of years ago. I think it's just like I think that's the best boxing movie that we've ever gotten. I think it's the best one in the Rocky franchise, which I know some people are going to be upset about to hear that thing, but it's like 100% true. If you need baseball movies, Major League, and the top three are Major League, A League of Their Own, and The Sandlot. I think that between those three, you hit on like every great part of baseball. We could do all kinds of, you want to talk about fighting movies? We could go Warrior and Best of the Best. You want to talk about football movies? We could do Remember the Titans, Necessary Roughness, The Replacements. Like we could hit all of this stuff. I've got 1,000 sports movies that I would love to talk to you about.
Okay, there's a whole new book waiting to happen here. I can just feel. Well, I'm not going to ask you what your favorite political movies are since we're in a political season, because we may need a diversion from all that pretty soon. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
All right, y'all. Be safe.
Hachette,